there was a video that was clipped out of context from what I've seen, of iDubbbz talking to Anthony Padilla. Mudahar actually quote tweeted it as well. Here is a clip from iDubbbz, which I've had on the stream as well. I like him a lot. I think that he is another example of a person who's like another example of a person who like had a lot of fucking edgy content, who has changed his perspective. But the discourse around the clip like really, really pissed off pretty much everyone. Because, well, one, it's like a short, like a very short clip. You don't really get to see all of it. Here, let's watch.
I did not like the interactions that I had with fans. There were quite a few human beings that I interacted with that just sucked because I attracted a lot of people who sucked. Some people were very much like antisocial, weird, basement dwellers. You know, the one time a month that they come out of their cave and they run into me, their favorite YouTuber.
And what would they say? What would they do?
Things that I am certainly not.
What was his edgy content? Just saying the N-word. Like, a lot of what iDubbbz did, even back then, was unironically pretty good, but he pushed it way too far with a lot of the classic N-word, F-word, you know what I mean? Like, with the classic, like, I should be able to say everything, right? His content cops and the people that he identified as, like, villains on the internet were pretty solid, and his content cops were well thought out. And his content cops actually did a decent job of like showing why a lot of the people that he was shitting on were fucking dumb, right? He has also created like him and Ethan as well, H3H3, like they created an entire genre of people that were basically making these kinds of essays on people, right? And they did it very well. They did it really, really well. But also, politically speaking, just like everyone else, Filthy Frank, Joji too, yeah, just like everyone else that was alive at the time, with some minor exceptions like your boy, okay, whose opinions were also sometimes edgy on certain matters, as you guys have also seen, maybe even, but you know, way, way longer than these guys. I mean, that was a super long time ago. Ultimately, they created like a massive audience, right? They created a massive audience, and also like copycats even. And the fact that Joji was praised and he's vilified is super dumb because Joji changed the type of content that he's making. He does music now and only music, right? He's still in the commentary sphere. So that's it. Due to the hard R and F word, he had it coming. He's racist. My friend, this is something I talk about all the time. Rehabilitation is something that you should always want, okay? Rehabilitation is something that you should believe in. The belief that people can change from their former selves, no matter how bad their impact was, is a fundamental value I hold on to and try to instill upon my audience all the fucking time. If you are on the right, and you look at someone like iDubbbz and you say, look at his former glory. Look at where he is gone. Look at how much of a cuck he is. Look at how soy he is. I understand why those guys are coming at it from that perspective because they think, oh, he dropped his beliefs. He dropped his like real beliefs for one reason or the other, right? But if you are on the left, if you are a liberal, if you are if you are someone who believes in progress, okay, you have to always understand. Now, as a white guy, it's easier for me to say. As a straight guy, this is easier for me to say, 100%. Okay, obviously, I recognize the privilege that I have. But if you are a leftist, that space, yes, was very toxic for someone like yourself, especially if you're black, especially if you're gay, right? I'm a white dude. I have the privilege to be able to say, like, it didn't impact me in that same way, even though, like, a lot of the edgy, toxic, 4chan adjacent, 4chan hybrid audience that he had cultivated for himself also were perpetually fucking doxing and sending me death threats 10 years ago even. So, you know, he probably even played a role in that. However, If you are a liberal, if you're a leftist, if you're a progressive, if you find yourself to be that way, you have to understand that people publicly changing is a good thing. Okay? Public personalities saying, hey man, I used to do this edgy shit, and honestly, it was really fucked up. I hated the audience that I created. I wanted to change. And people just constantly tying you back to that old shit that you have done. You're making it impossible for other people to come to your side. Okay? You get what I mean? People should also watch the whole thing. He's not just randomly shitting on fans. He's talking about how he bred an environment that created an awful audience. Exactly. When someone admits that they were wrong for things that they did 10 years ago, okay? What did he say? Wait, what? He said the N-word with the same energy you say the C-word with. You're literally the same. Yes, he did. Like when I say cracker. Yeah. Notice how I can say cracker. You had the right C word in the chat, but I can say cracker with as much energy as I want because one is not the same as the other. I can't tell if you're like literally fucking so fragile, unironically, or if you're like out of your fucking mind. I don't know what's going on. Anyway. As far as like a public persona goes, atoning for the things you have done in the past, and then recognizing that you were wrong, and trying to atone for the audience that you have, an audience that you've cultivated. We should be more forgiving and more understanding of these people. I can't make that demand of the people who were impacted and targeted. Okay. But, a lot of these guys also did a fuckload of Islamophobia. A lot of these guys also created an audience of fucking edgelords who then came after me regularly and still do to this day. And even then, despite being personally impacted by a lot of this shit, I still believe that it's a good thing overall when a public persona who has created like edgelords and made it fashionable and cool, okay? When those guys turn back on that and say, I fucked up, I shouldn't have ever done that, and I'm happy that I no longer am doing that. It takes a lot for someone to recognize that they're wrong. It takes a lot for someone to recognize that they were in the fucking wrong. Okay? It takes a lot for someone to atone. Even then, there's going to be plenty of people that are not understanding of them and hold them to what they have done in the past. Okay? Let's not forget you said the R word. I don't understand why you're doing this. Do you think this is a yes, I did. Of course I did. Yeah. And not all that long ago either. Yeah. I did. Yeah. Well, I'm fucking brain broken myself personally. Some might make the argument that I have the past, but regardless, like, yeah. So people still say, you know what I mean? Like, you're doing the thing that I'm talking about. You're holding people, you think you're holding people accountable, but all you're doing, okay, all you're doing in this circumstance, no, not the hard R, dude. No, the R word. The word he is talking about is, I'm going to say it in French, retard, okay? To retard, like to take back, or the American version of that. Do you understand? That's what he's talking about. Make no mistake. We're not doing the fucking Linus Tech Tip shit. So, that R word. It doesn't mean to take back in French. It means to slow down or delay. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. It means to slow. So, this is something I truly believe in, and I think it's very important for others to also, if you are, a leftist, progressive, liberal, whatever the fuck you are, okay, I think we should all be a little bit more open-minded towards people who have demonstrated that they that they were wrong, atoned, and openly stated all the time. They don't need to like constantly. They don't need to constantly fucking be like, I'm so pathetic, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? You kind of get it. Like, forgiveness is key. Forgiveness is huge. And I will forgive anyone and everyone. This is a fundamental value that I have. I believe that it is something that is, honestly, you look like a failed abortion. Okay. That's funny. So, like, I guess a baby. As I was saying, I think you would want people to be nice to you if your past ever was revealed in a similar capacity. Obviously, some people are more responsible for the hatred that you experience online than others. But ultimately, I think once accountability kicks in and someone recognizes their flaws, it's good when they recognize that very publicly. It takes a lot, you know. So Mudahar said, I can understand distancing yourself from racist fans, but this makes me laugh. I remember the first iDubbbz video I've ever seen of him driving out to Tanacon, pretending to be a fan and saying the N-word. A lot of those weirdos existed because of his content in the first place. Yeah, and I think iDubbbz recognizes that. I think he realizes that and is openly distancing himself from that past while slowly trying to take accountability. As a firm believer in rehabilitation, I think it's great that people openly change their outlook and even their content, no matter how toxic they may have been. And Mudahar also agrees. He says, I think it's better than nothing for sure. I remember seeing him constantly as a response macro on 4chan threads, so it wasn't a surprise his fan base had some of the worst in it that came to my mind. Glad to see he's maturing. Yeah, and I think he has. And people that say, oh, he's maturing, people that say, like, oh, he matured because, like, he can't make as much edgy content anymore. People don't really understand. You can really get away with a lot of edgy content still to this day as long as you don't say certain words. So if he wanted to, he could have very clearly just like eliminated some of the words from his lexicon and then continued to fucking make the same exact kind of edgy ass content. But he doesn't do that anymore. Because I do think that he genuinely has like changed his perspective. Tears who says, I'm confused. Was this not obvious to people? Do you think he's just randomly dunking on his fans? He's explaining why he shifted his content style. He realized his audience was a mirror and didn't like the reflection he saw of himself. Exactly. I think Anissa really helped him grow up. Yes, absolutely. I mean, she is the GOAT. She is awesome. That was like one of my first, even before I knew anything about Ian or I knew anything about his like political perspective, when I saw that, I was like, oh, because I know she's dope. I know she's awesome. I know she has, great politics. She was kind of edgy too, though, at a point. Yeah, I think like, I think that they grew up together in their political perspectives. Yeah. Anecdote, but I sat down with Ian and his partner at TwitchCon, and you can tell when you mention his past, he legitimately feels bad. Yeah, it's a very uncomfortable topic to broach because like anyone who has had any kind of like perspectives that they don't actually believe in any longer, when you bring that shit up, and we're gonna watch this video as well, but I kind of want to do some like regular news coverage. And then I'll get back to this because I do think that redemption is huge. And I always wish that, people who claim to be leftists, people who are like ostensibly on the left, people who claim to be progressive, maybe could be a little bit more empathetic towards those who have public personas who originally contributed to the toxicity online that no longer believe in those values. I know that's a major ask. Okay? Edgy, you mean racist, don't you? Yes, absolutely. No, that's precisely what I mean. It's the same thing over and over again. We are expected to just forgive and forget when we were hurt by it. No, I get that. I totally get that. That's why I always say, every white person gets to have the hard ER moments. And it's like, can y'all just chill them out? No, this is not about that. You're misunderstanding. Okay. That's why I say I have the privilege to be able to say this, but it's the same concept as like asking those in my community to sometimes do emotional labor, right? It's a huge part. It is a huge part of trying to convert others and make it an accepting space. Okay? Because our goal should be to try to get people to stop being that way, right? I'm glad you're acknowledging that it's a huge ask. Of course I am. Of course I am. Of course. But what you have to recognize is that if our goal is a community, and this community should be at least standalone on this because of how much I've championed this since the jump, okay? Forgiveness is a huge part of having an empathetic approach. And unfortunately, we do come across like we are incapable of allowing people to change. And that's a problem, especially when many people in this community that is massive, that you find to be comrades, that you find to be friends, that you trust in now, that you confide in, often had some edgy perspectives, but maybe they had anonymity. So they weren't able to, so you don't know. You can never pull up their, prior former selves. Okay? Because ultimately, we are products of the systems, right? We're products of the systems that we grew up in. And if you as a leftist, you as a progressive understand that the systems are white supremacist, racist, transphobic, homophobic, misogynistic, patriarchal, right? Then you understand the products of said systems are going to resemble those values as well. So when people go against the grain, when people say my former self is not correct, my former self is wrong, I think that's something that should be celebrated. I think that is something that people should be more understanding towards. Unfortunately, it's very much a firmly held part of our culture here in the United States of America, especially, and that draconian attitude of wanting to punish people, and that like evil versus please don't tell me to relax random chatters when I've been like affected by this directly and it upsets me. No, I understand that. I do. Okay. But it was profitable for him. I need more than just word. All I'm saying. Okay, guys, all you're doing is try to, I think this is easy for you to say while not being black or having a black family. Like, what the fuck? Guys, stop adding the people that I pull up on screen. That's number one. And two, I acknowledge that and I recognize that, which is why I ask you a, albeit very large ask. Okay? Because ultimately, there is another side to this. If you make it impossible to change, you're basically feeding into the fucking right. There might be people that are in the margins that are like, you know what? I kind of want to, I think what I'm doing is toxic. I think what I'm doing is wrong. Okay? No, we aren't. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You 100% are. This is something that I really, really, really 100% fundamentally believe in. Okay? You are. You can say I'm not, but it doesn't matter. If you make it so that if we're going against the grain here, if we are combating the constructs that make it feel like, if we're going against the grain here, if we are literally fucking advocating against the systemic constructs that are firmly held by so many people, you have to, no matter what happens, you have to put your best foot forward. You are behaving in a socially inept way and mistaking that for activism. It's not. Okay? And when you sit there and act like, no, actually, it doesn't matter. This person was bad in the past, and even if he is no longer bad any longer, I still will hold him to his former self that he truly understands was fucked up all the time. you make it seem like it's impossible to grow and it's impossible to change. And that is a fundamentally right-wing, objectivist ideology that like there is good and evil in the world, and some people are good and some people are evil. It is anti-materialist inherently to make this fucking assessment. Okay? You can write all the fucking essays you want, but ultimately it is anti-materialist to make this fucking argument that like people were bad and wrong and racist, and that means they were bad and they were racist because they were bad and not because they were products of the fucking environments that they grew in. That's number one. Okay, I think maybe you have to articulate is that it's okay to forgive him, but you don't have to like him, especially as a black person. Sure, exactly. Ultimately, I'm not even saying you have to forgive this person, but I am telling you that the side effect of that, the secondary consequence of that is that a lot of people in the margins see your behavior and think, well, why the fuck should I change? You know, I'm just going to fucking solidify because the one side is my hug box. The one side of toxicity and right-wing ideas are offering me support and comfort. Okay? Yeah. I think iDubbbz has actually changed, acknowledges his past and why it's unacceptable, why it is unacceptable, then cool. I think if iDubbbz has actually changed. All too often, do we accept people who haven't changed? I don't know which is the case, but his actions will tell, and I'm willing to wait and see. Exactly. That's all I ask. Yeah. The reason why I say this, the reason why this is a battle that I choose to fight every fucking day is because this smarmy, holier than thou attitude that you take on, like you think you are actually, you know, protective of marginalized communities, end up making it harder for people to come back to the side of progress. Okay? If you recognize that everyone is a product of the systems that they grew up in, and if you recognize that those systems are inherently bigoted, then you have to understand that fighting against that takes a tremendous toll. Internalizing that change and becoming a different person is something that should be celebrated. I'm not saying immediately take a guy who said the, you know, N-word with a hard R last week and turn around and be like, oh yeah, he's actually a good guy now. I'm taking him at his word. Obviously, there's going to be disingenuous pieces of shit. Okay? All of this just seems so weird, especially when this level of forgiveness is rarely given towards minorities. That is a cop-out argument. You know that that's a cop-out argument because I'm talking about this from the perspective of the criminal justice system as well, which routinely punishes minorities and marginalized communities. I'm a firm believer in rehabilitation across the board. Okay? That's bullshit. Saying that this is never given to minorities is stupid because you're here. This level of forgiveness is never given to anyone. You are mistaking, once again, being vindictive for justice, okay? It's very hard to get people out of this mindset, especially in America. It sucks. It sucks harder than the top of the hour ad break coming 10 minutes into the top of the hour, okay? But at the top of the hour, or maybe sometimes 10 minutes in, there's a 3-minute ad break. Why are we referring to all these harmful opinions as takes, just edgy? It's okay to, what? It's okay to say that using the N-word is racist, LMFAO? I think you're hard stuck on the semantics of this conversation. I have openly admitted that that is racist over and over again. You just want me to keep repeating it because you think it suits what you're saying. Speed Razor, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. Andrew Filer, thank you for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 30 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Here is the 3-minute ad break now. Okay? Haas, they're not going to like this one, big bro. It doesn't matter. Especially because this is something that I personally believe in, and no matter what happens, I will keep believing in this. This is something that has allowed this community to grow as much as it has. And most importantly, this attitude is one that people have for people, okay? This attitude is one that they truly hold on to, okay? It's one that you have in your heart. When you act like you don't have that in your heart, you're just saying that because you don't like the other person. And it's understandable not to like the other person. But if you want to hold on to a consistent moral perspective on this, Obviously, forgiveness for those who have atoned or for those who have acknowledged their mistakes, for those who have been racist in the past and want to redeem themselves, is the best way to grow a progressive movement in this country. Okay? Parturnox taught us this shit already. What is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort? Yeah. This community is not a safe space for you if you think that hostility should be continued when people have openly changed. I have a literal podcast with a fucking dude who used to be that way, who is no longer that way. Okay? And the reality is that the reality is that a lot of people would want that for themselves too. A lot of people, no, not Will, man. I'm talking about Ethan. To be honest, that the dude reminds me of the random chatter that pops up who's reform, trust, but verify with these bitch-ass dudes. IZEB got pumped via the same white supremacist algo that birthed shooters and shit. He ate so well, in fact, he could just go about face without doing any real work other than sorry is white peak white privilege, and you should know that. Doesn't matter. Even if that's the case, you understand? Even if that's the case, even if it's peak white privilege, the main point here is not to seek additional reasons for being anti-rehabilitation. It's to overcome that. Okay? I don't think political triangulation is a very persuasive argument for why an individual should agree to restorative justice and forgiveness. I think you'd have a lot more success coming at this problem from a different angle. Well, I have come at it from a different angle. Def Not Sophie, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. The other angle is this, and I already said that. We are all a product of our systems, and therefore we all have learned certain things. We all have privilege blind spots, and overcoming that is a tremendous effort. A lot of chatters have changed their minds on particular issues. The difference is that they were anonymous at the time, so no one fucking knows that they had different political perspectives. And under that guise of anonymity, they can act like they weren't a cringe toxic edgelord. And if you were never a cringe toxic edgelord in any subject, which by the way, I don't believe, for the most part, I think everyone has privileged blind spots. It's expected, right? Because of the systems themselves that we are socially conditioned into believing and internalizing. But let's say you have no fucking edgy, toxic past or anything like that, right? Well, then you were just then you lived a sheltered life, okay? Do you understand? Then you lived a sheltered life, and it's good for you, but that doesn't give you a gold star or a cookie. You understand? That's the reality. Everyone has done something that, if brought to light, they would probably be ashamed of, right? And some people were more public about it. And some people even made a fuckload of money off of behaving that way. But ultimately, the fundamental principle is basically understanding and allowing people to change, grow, learn. Okay? It takes time. So all I ask of you is to be a little bit more forgiving with people who have demonstrated growth. Okay? POC aren't given the same level of understanding, so we should fix that by not giving POC more understanding, but giving whites the same lack of understanding. Yeah, it's just like, this is not to get all fucking anarchist in here, but Angela Davis, our prison's obsolete, has a perfect analogy of this. Okay? The pink prison warden of the female prison. In our prisons obsolete, Angela Davis talks about a female warden who is notorious for having more draconian measures built into the women's prison that she runs. Okay? One of the main things that she does is that is basically that like she amps up the violence that her corrections officers implement and push upon a female prisoner population. Okay? Rehabilitation is not about, or being a girl boss is not about equalizing the violence in our carceral state. It should not be about that. It should be about making it so that people have dignity and humanity, okay, inside of the carceral state so they can rehabilitate and reintegrate into society with ease. Damn, y'all bitter about being called sheltered? Get off your high horse. We are the minority. Yeah. Not liking a content creator is the same thing as mass incarceration. No. But our draconian understanding is perfectly captured in the way that we analyze content, because we ultimately all have that same liberal tendency of making the content that we consume to be moral or immoral, which is why I'm using that as an example to give you a larger snapshot. Okay? I'm hyper-focusing on a silly little thing, ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, while giving you an example of how this kind of carceral state violence is reinforced through every facet of existence to help you understand. I don't give a shit if you, choose to love Ian's content or whatever the fuck, or forgive him. But I do care about progressive communities coming across as more understanding, because that is precisely what I want. Yeah. I don't want to look like a bunch of punitive, smarmy, righteously indignant motherfuckers who think that no one is capable of changing. Okay? I don't understand how you do this. I would slam my head into a wall if someone so willingly misconstrued my point like that. It will never stop. That element is never going to stop. And I don't even care about like fucking iDubbbz in particular. I'm not even telling you to like him. I just not actively push him away. It's not even about iDubbbz. It's about all of the people that look to their past and are ashamed of it and live with that guilt, who are afraid of coming across like they have outwardly changed, because they keep getting consistently punished for it. Okay? And when that is the fucking case, when people get consistently punished for it, you're just basically doing fucking propaganda for the right. It's the same as it's the exact same bullshit as people saying, I'm not going to educate you. It's not my job to educate you. Well, a right-wing motherfucker is there willing and able to give you a million different examples as to how, it's actually justifiable to reinforce the white supremacist systems that are baked into our criminal justice process. You know what I mean? Do you get it? For every person who says, I will not take on the emotional labor, there's 10 other motherfuckers that are privileged, that are Nazis, that will absolutely do everything they can to convert you to their side. They're waiting. They're waiting. They're in this community right now. They're in the whispers right now, waiting for the opportunity. They love that. They lick their fucking lips with excitement at the prospect of being able to pull you back into that side. Exactly. It's the age old, my job is not to educate you. Okay, hello, my name is Dennis Prager. You know what I mean? You Google it, and the first thing that fucking comes, up is Dennis Prager telling you that slavery was actually good. You know what I mean? Okay, don't educate people. You wouldn't defend a 5K Andy the same way. Be honest, if he wasn't as big, he was. I don't think you would care. There is truth to this statement. And the truth of this statement comes from the fact that this person is a very public representative of rehabilitation and reform. But if you think that I don't defend the random motherfuckers in my community right now when I'm defending Ian, you're out of your mind. There are literal people in this community that are just like him. You might even be like him. Okay? If he had been deplatformed and was no longer relevant, would you argue for his return? His clout clouds the judgment. If he had been deplatformed and no longer relevant and came back and said, I now have a new opinion, I now have a new perspective on life, and he was advocating against the things that he was advocating for, then yeah, I would still defend that because I defend the principle. Okay? That chatter is totally wrong. You do and have defended people that used to be just like him. You definitely don't have any moderators where that's the case. Exactly. There are people in this community that used to be like that. I think white leftists are responsible for educating other white people. Asking black leftists to do this emotional labor is just too much. Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to do it, it's fine. You know what I mean? If you can't put up with it, it's fine. You don't have to. But I still will make that ask while understanding how fucking difficult it is. And the reason why I make that ask is because we are all in it together, okay? And this is a Herculean task. And it's very, very, very difficult to overcome these kinds of things. Very difficult to overcome these problems, especially without like systemic change. And I just want people to understand it's not a hypothetical concern. The right constantly tries to paint the left as self-righteous, all or nothing moral high ground people who reject dissenters. Every time I need to reckon with something bad I did in my past, my instinct is to hide from judgment, not seek education. Creating a culture of persuading people towards rehabilitation is very difficult. Yes. Very succinct, Hasan. This will make a good video. Well, I mean, here. If you want to see something, and if you think that I'm wrong about, or my perspective on this has changed or something like that, where is it? Let's see if I can find it. It's on my YouTube. I believe I posted this on my YouTube many, many years ago. I can't really find it now, but I literally used to be an anti-Semite fascist down deep rabbit hole, and for sure, the availability of misinformation pushed me further than I would have ever gone before. But if I can change, anyone can. Yeah, that's why I believe in life after hate and you know, organizations like that. What was it about? It's called Privilege Blind Spots. Some chatters didn't see how much harassment IDubbbz got for calling out a dumbass Nazi. A lot of radicalized people will see that harassment from the right for disavowing, see the blowback from leftists for disavowing from right-wing ideology. I mean, people say that to me about all the time. If Andrew Tate returns and apologizes for his misogyny, would you accept his apology? Andrew Tate, if he does the time for the crime and truly many years down the line openly fucking recognizes how horrible of a human being he was, then yes, it takes incredible amounts of time. But yes, if he does the crime, if he does the time for his crime, comes out and is a truly changed person who no longer reinforces those same fucking values that already exist in society, yes, I do believe. Guys, I am always going to be open-minded to even criminals. This is something that I talk about regularly. But if you are comparing someone like Andrew Tate, who most likely sex trafficked people on top of his like output, okay, I don't know what to tell you. White privilege and affirmative action debate. No, that's not it. I think it's literally, it's from many, many years ago. But it's called like, I think Privilege Blind Spots. The intersectionality of privilege. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I can find it or not, but I think all it takes in certain circumstances for those who are in the margins is a fucking lifeline. And I'm here to give that to people. I know that others don't want to. I know that others don't want to do that, but I am here to understand, and I am here to recognize that, yes, people can reform, people can change, and it's good. When you're 30, you'll understand. Yeah. Are you shitting me? You will bag anyone that is a horrible person? I have no more respect for you. Yeah, it sucks. I know I lose a lot of people when I say this sort of stuff. Okay? I know I lose a lot of people when I say this sort of stuff, but I've always been pro rehabilitation, and I will continue to be that way. That is something that I firmly believe, and I know for a fucking fact that there are so many people out there who have the capacity to change that unfortunately get fucking. Oop! Did I accidentally click on timeout? Will, what the fuck? Jesus Christ! I like literally. Oh, Will is in here saying, "Hey, Hasan, his chat talked about his. Hey, chat, has Hasan talked about the political impact of Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets, baby? No, I already unbanned him. Hasan hates the Jets. Confirmed. He's trying to silence me. Yeah. Okay. He's a sex trafficker, dog. I get wanted to forgive, but it's really not your place to forgive in this case. There are victims. Yeah. Not right now. Not tomorrow. Don't be fucking silly. I'm not talking about a process that happened tomorrow or will happen tomorrow or anytime in the near future. I'm not even talking about something that could ever change. Okay? Ben Shapiro is a great example who hasn't done anything like fucking criminal. Maybe it should be. But ultimately, the reason why I continue fucking advocating against Ben Shapiro is because he hasn't fucking changed anything. He hasn't changed his mentality. He's only gotten worse over the years. I do think that there's a distinction between wanting to rehabilitate people and accepting people into the wider left that are actively harming marginalized people in our communities. What you do that I respect is that you don't tolerate bigotry from those trying to unlearn it, but other communities are not like that. Yes, there is no space in here for continued bigotry, of course. Yeah. And I don't have any time for people who are, disingenuously trying to take advantage of my better nature, right? Cole Khan was giving me the glaring realization that you should not go on tabs, Lamau. Yeah, I mean, I know. What's the alternative, though? You still just hate a person even if they say and show they've changed? Like, how do you think that and still hold so much hate? I mean, what is this? RBG's quote about Kaepernick is revealing, not because her immediate reaction was to call the kneeling dumb and stupid, but because her apology claimed she was barely aware of the incident or its purpose. This was 3 years after Trayvon Martin, 2 years after Ferguson. My point is, we all have privileged blind spots. This is something I talk about quite often, but that's quite a large one to have as one of the more progressive Supreme Court justices making profoundly important decisions that impact our lives. Yeah, I mean, that's one mention of it. I wonder if I can find it. You might need to just like scroll down all the way to like 2018 or something. Like my videos on YouTube from like fucking 2018 or something. But I don't think it's the white privilege.
Kindergarten. Because me and who I am today, I would have a much higher.
There are certain parts in your brain that still have the opportunity to comprehend what is going on, but you're so focused on fucking dog whistling with this culture nonsense that you can't see beyond your own talking points.
Yeah, I genuinely think that people arguing with you are just young and sheltered. 90% of people you interact with will have been exactly like iDubbbz at a certain point. Maybe not exactly. Was it 2018? Are you sure? Yeah, it's one of the first videos I think I ever posted on my YouTube channel, other than like the vlogs and shit. So yeah, I'm trying to find this real quick, but it's really hard. Unfortunately. It is literally 100%. You summed it up perfectly when you said that the people acting like there's no forgiveness are socially inept. Yeah, for sure. No, it's not a TYT video. It was 100% on my YouTube. I don't know how to look it, though. I don't know how to find it. How do I search through my own YouTube videos? You know what I mean? Oh. Oh, did you find it? Okay. Yeah, it's not coming up. I don't know if I can fucking find this. What? All right, later then. He's going to watch himself before the iDubbbz interview. Peace, y'all. Dude, can you calm the fuck down? Like, look at this fucking freak, dude. So are we going to watch the Anthony Padilla video or should I come back in 3 hours? Nah, fuck that. Bro, let him rot in jail. What the fuck? Still haven't started the video yet. Holy shit, play the video, my dude. Bro, can you play the video, please? All right, then. He's going to watch himself before the iDubbbz interview. Peace, y'all. God damn, dude. This fucking... I can't get a goddamn thing off without, like, people just, like, losing their fucking absolute shit. Okay? Calm the fuck down, brother. Calm the fuck down. Cool it. Sure, we'll watch the fucking iDubbbz video now.
Quite a few human beings that I interacted with.
In person?
Yeah, in person. That just sucked. They just sucked because I attracted a lot of people who sucked.
What do you think happens when one of the most controversial and cynical figures on YouTube reevaluates their entire life? And why has he never talked about the things that happened in his childhood before? I'm Anthony Padilla, and I spent today with iDubbbz to find out. Hello, Ian.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I didn't know that that's what you were doing.
I know, it was either that I was going to attack you or I was going to shake your hand.
Genuine question from someone outside your community. Do you ever think about how condescending using the term rehabilitation sounds when it's just talking about someone who's never even had any right-wing opinions but was just edgy? I understand it more with conservatives because they're supposed to be the opposition, but Ian's case, the language seems strange. Brother, we're talking about a person who said the F word and the N word with a hard R, like regularly, and made it a political point to do that. His other political perspectives might not have been so fucking right-wing, but I'm not going to sit here and act like that's not a racist or homophobic thing to do. Of course it is, okay? I can't believe you would come in here and literally try to make a semantics argument when, one, I know Ian personally, two, truly believe that he has reformed and rehabilitated himself, three, am defending him against all the fucking unnecessary amounts of additional revenge that people are looking to get out of him, okay? While simultaneously trying to fucking play this delicate song and dance and explain to people what my perspective is on rehabilitation. I found the old video of you from 2018. Okay, link it in the chat, please. Okay? And then you're over here still being like, it's not enough. It's not enough. You should just say it's just edgy. Okay? Not. He made it a political cause of action to say the N-word with a hard R. Like, that's not just... Is this it? Yes, this is it.
Tyler, the creator, calls himself that.
This is it, yes. I mean, this is not edited at all.
Like I said, it was just, it was a different time back then. I'm not saying this to I'm not saying this to escape it. I feel like a lot of people always misunderstand when others say, like, it was a different time back then. People get very upset. They're like, oh, fuck you, how dare you. No, it's like, no, dude, people aren't. Yeah, no, calling people out is fine, but, like, I don't know. It's just like you can't get mad at Eminem for selling a best-selling album when he probably, in his heart of hearts at least, or virtually, when like the majority of society thought that it wasn't a wrong, it wasn't the wrong thing to say. And the reference I will use for you guys, for you to understand etymology and how different it is, and I'm not a linguist, right? I'm not like a professional rhetorician or anything, but what I can tell you is this. This is a perfect example, and I've used this on the stream before, okay? Get ready.
It's kind of funny that even in fucking 2018, 4 years ago, I'm still saying, and I've used this example on the stream before. It's like, motherfucker, what stream? The stream from last week was your first stream. The fuck do you mean? You've used it on your stream before.
The word lame is ableist. Lame is referred to people who can't walk. They have a lame, like lame duck. They have a lame leg, lame election, whatever. But that concept is completely ableist. But no one would ever assume that when you think about it. And everyone says, yo, that shit's lame as fuck. That shit's lame. All of this is lame. So what's up? Are we gonna now, can you imagine if you got mad at someone for using the word lame right now, 40 years from now, when people have decided that it's lame? That's the best way to describe it, okay? Because lame is ableist. So was the R word, but it was acceptable back then. You know what I mean? Shut up, Barn Attack. I'm just saying, like, I'm not a professional when it comes to like analyzing etymology or analyzing where certain words come from and shit, but
Still eating.
decided that it's bad. For example, the N-word. People are doing that now, then it's understandable to get upset at them and to try to correct their behavior. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't understand the severity. At this point, it seems unlikely, but I would still always maintain a presumption of innocence until they demonstrate that they're not. You know what I mean? Until they demonstrate that they're like, oh, I don't care. Because, like, a lot of people react by doubling down when they get called out, which is also, in some respects, understandable. But anyway. I don't know. I just don't think that, like, I don't know if people genuinely grow from being called out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they do. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Because, like, after all, in the end of the day, the idea behind cancel culture, or the idea behind progressive movements, is ultimately to ensure that, yeah, I stay growing because I eat one meal a day. No, I'm eating my curry chicken again, but it's just like, I didn't want to eat on camera because it's so...
Bro, even my fucking food, god damn. This is why I say, let me tell you something. This is why I say nothing has fucking changed. This is like 2018, okay? This is 2018. I'm eating the same fucking food. I'm advocating for the same goddamn principles, and I'm still duking it out with the same goddamn idiots in the chat who are like, what are you eating? You're eating so much. Oh my fucking Lord, dude.
So hard to just, like...
That's why I say I had
appropriately.
35 viewers and I had the same shit. I was doing the same shit, and I have
done anyway,
35,000 viewers and I'm still doing the same shit.
But do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, who... Like, even when people say, oh, I'm really sorry, I apologize, like, do you guys really think they understand what they did? And anything aside from feeling apologetic, or do you think they actually take active steps to change their behavior? Because, like, people that are well-intentioned, once they get called out, like, not publicly, mind you, I'm talking about private call-outs. Once people who, like, you know, if someone you love or appreciate or respect or admire comes up to you and says, hey, don't do that, that's actually bad, and you have a long conversation about it, that's when it's actually healthy and that's when it's actually productive. But on the internet, when people are like, oh, don't say this, don't do this, and you get called out for your past behavior, I don't think that actually is productive. Not saying that we shouldn't do it all together, because there are certain, like, yeah, but when it's not even a private call out, when it's a private conversation, it's more meaningful because it's not necessarily, like, a call out seems somewhat selfish. It's like someone is committing someone is breaking social norms, and then you're looking at that and going, oh, here's how that makes me feel. It's not necessarily defensive. It seems like it's offensive most of the time, and that's what I think a lot of people have a hard time getting on board with call out culture. You know what I mean? Not like I said, I'm not even saying that it's bad across the board. Like a lot of people have a hardline stance to that. A lot of people have a hardline stance against canceling people, all this stuff. A lot of you have a hardline stance for canceling people, you know? Privately, it is more of a caring conversation, absolutely. Thank you, Jojo J-Ro. A lot of people are incredibly draconian. They're draconian when it comes to like pushing for specific punitive measures. They're draconian when it comes to accepting that people have the tendency to change and to rehabilitate themselves after they've demonstrated that they're sorry or demonstrated that they're wrong. All of this stuff is really problematic. Ultimately, even as a leftist, as a progressive, I think that is genuinely problematic, because even those who are on the left also subscribe to that without realizing what they're doing. You guys see what I'm saying?
Laughing about when people say you're a hypocrite or inconsistent. Apparently you've been lying since you had like 250 viewers for 5 years. Yeah. Or whenever motherfuckers say like, oh, what about bro tips? And it's like, yeah, dude, that was literally 12, 13 fucking years ago. And I have personally learned and grown. I'm very open about like even transphobic jokes that I have made in the fucking past 12 or 13 fucking years ago. And am now a massive advocate. You know what I mean? So you're not going to be able to fucking bully me for things that I've done in the goddamn past or things that I've said in the goddamn fucking past, because those are things I've learned from. Those are things I've grown out of, okay? And that's why I think it informs my perspective. That's why I take this so fucking seriously. But this is literally in 2018. The consistency has been so obvious, so glaring, so fucking apparent. Good luck. This cam looks so much like you were just talking while eating between gaming lobbies. Yeah.
As a person who's like, you know, when a lot of people make these arguments, you know exactly what their background is, right? You know exactly why they're saying it. Like if Mike Cernovich is making this argument, he has a very different reason to make this argument. He's just covering his own bases because he's been attacked a million times and he's generally a piece of shit. But
2013 is 12 years ago. Yeah, no, that's... Wait, I mean, 10 years ago, not 12 years ago, sorry. Yeah, people are using fucking videos from like 11 years ago, 10 years ago. Exactly. Yeah.
Damn, Arcana of Light, you're leaving already? That's crazy. Someone call for a friend who's a girl. Who do I give my application to? Well, yeah, do you guys see what I'm saying about cancel culture? And how, hey, Arya. And how our draconian understanding here in America, in the United States culture, is a huge... Oh, I thought you were leaving. Oh, never mind. I thought you were...
Okay, god damn it.
Where people are afraid of only terrifying other people who are like, everyone work. So even if the intention originally was to cancel someone for good, it doesn't even necessarily work. So all we're doing at that point is just genuinely terrifying other people who are like, everyone's bad. I could easily be framed in a similar fashion. You see what I'm saying? So it creates this negative environment that doesn't foster conversation, where people are afraid of speaking their truth or speaking their minds on any given subject because they're fearful that someone might come out to get them. And I think that is again, that is somewhat dangerous and somewhat an aspect, an element of the left that definitely deserves a little bit more of a constructive approach. Yeah, that's Arya's right. You're absolutely right. We wouldn't have to cancel people if we didn't put them on such a high pedestal in the first place when they're just flawed people just like everyone else. I say this all the time, guys. I've said fucking horrible shit in the past. I've tried to be edgy. You know, I'm a product of my environment in the end of the day. And so is everyone else. And every single person on this stream, probably at some point today, or at least at some point this.
That's why it's fucking funny when motherfuckers are like, bro, remember this stuff that you said? It's like, you fucking piece of shit, you donkey fuck. I've been saying the exact same things word for word about fucking rehabilitation and accountability and changing and allowing people to fucking change since I had 10 motherfucking viewers. Shut the fuck up. Suck my fucking cock from the back, you little bitch. You donkey fuck. You stupid fucking bitch. You are so terrified of changing. You are so terrified of assuming that maybe the way you saw the fucking world was wrong. And for all of you on the left who are the smarmy, annoying fucking liberals who constantly fucking chirp about how people can't change, people can't demonstrate the capacity to fucking change, we must hold them to who they were in the fucking past. That's the reason why I don't have 35 fucking viewers any longer. That's why you can come into a goddamn massive community of like-minded individuals now at 35 fucking K. Because if I listened to the same smarmy woke lords back then, I would have never been able to fucking grow this non-hostile space that you have online that you take for fucking granted every goddamn day. You understand me? That's why it's crazy. It's additionally crazy whenever people are like, you're a fucking grifter. Yeah, dude, I was grifting when I had fucking 10 followers, dude. That's what I was doing. I hate this. All of you despise purity spirals. All of you despise it. All of you recognize that it's bad. All of you recognize that it's counterproductive to growing a leftist fucking movement. And yet you all do it all the time. You do it all the time. You just don't want to do it. You don't want to actually be understanding. This is why I believe in the things I believe. This is why I make a big ask of those who are marginalized in this community. If anyone ever harasses you, if anyone ever comes at it from a perspective of racism or from a perspective of transphobia, obviously we will deal with it. But if you think that people do not have the capacity to change, grow, learn from their mistakes, if you want to constantly hold them to who they were in the past, even if they have very clearly moved on, grown, and demonstrated change, then I'll tell you what, dude, this is not the place for you. I mean, look at this. I'm literally talking about how many followers I have till I dye my hair. I have 4,000 followers here. I have 4,028 followers total on Twitch at this point. And I lied. Yeah, I didn't dye my hair. Shut up. I agree. A bit sticking point is how much money iDubbbz made off of it, though. It doesn't matter. What do you mean? It does not matter. He made his money, but what we're talking about is him being apologetic for it. So what do you mean? What are you talking about here? What does that mean? Jenna Marbles made her money too. She deleted those fucking videos and then she self-canceled for no reason. Asking working people struggling to pay their bills to accept it is just harder. I agree with you, bro. What do you mean asking working people? Working people would want the very same perspective of empathy, perspective guided by empathy for their past mistakes. The only difference is they're not publicly visible, so it doesn't matter. What I'm talking about pertains to the entirety of the fucking planet. Everyone has done shit that they don't agree with any longer. Everyone has done and said things that they have grown from. That's a part of life. Also, the reason why I didn't dye my hair, for the record, the reason why I didn't dye my fucking hair is because, as you can see, my hairline was diminishing at this point, and I wanted to salvage it, okay? That's why I didn't dye it. And then I successfully did actually end up salvaging it, as you can see now. Look at my fucking hairline currently, so shut the fuck up. It is revenge culture. This is a very important thing to talk about. It's a very important thing to understand.
This week said something that was fucking god-awful, and you turned to your friends and you said, oh God, if anyone else heard this, I would be in a lot of trouble. Because everyone operates that way, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's real. It's no different than like looking at a video game and playing a violent video game and not necessarily turning out to be a fucking school shooter. Anyway, so those are my opinions. But listen, this isn't to say that certain ways of framing in a contextual way to describe how certain people think or operate is, especially if they're continuously making a living off of that or continuously saying those things while also presenting themselves differently. That's different. And what I'm of course referring to is like a Ben Shapiro type. Like Ben Shapiro is a political pundit. His entire thing is that he's very well put together, well crafted. His entire perspective is around dehumanizing already marginalized groups, right? So when you use his Arabs like to live in sewage and bomb shit to show that he is a race person, because that's no different than the many different fucking articles that he's written on from Town Hall to Breitbart, as some of you always forget. This guy that got a fucking puff piece in the New York Times.
Yeah. Not to bring up the grifter accusations again, but it is wild to me that people claim that you're insincere in your advocacy when a video like this exists of you way back when it all started saying the exact same shit. It's like I could watch that stream and it would be nearly indistinguishable from stream today, aside from production value. Exactly. That's why it's like additionally funny. Like you can of course make people literally look and seem like they are bad people, awful people, their perspectives have changed or whatever the fuck, right? Or you can make me, especially when I have like 10 years of 10 years of like content creation under my belt, you can make me look like a horrible person, especially because I'm literally fucking streaming 10 hours a day now. You can always clip shit out of context. But ultimately, if you are honest, if you are looking at it, if you are watching my content with just a crumb of charitability, you will recognize that, of course, these are the same opinions that I held sincerely back when I had 30 people watching me, okay? And that has not changed. But, of course, there is plenty of bad faith motherfuckers out there who have done a very successful job at making it seem like I'm a bad person, that I am a grifter or whatever the fuck. Consistency as a leftist is seen as grifting for whatever reason, but right-wingers constantly backtracking and being spineless is seen as intellectual, Ben Shapiro fans and the like. Exactly. Your takes on things have changed so little that half the time I'm listening, I know what you're going to say before you say it. Yeah. Anyway, let's watch this video now.
Right.
I'm glad you trusted me, though.
Mm-hmm.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Visit betterhelp.com/Padilla because sometimes existing is exhausting. And if you want to watch this episode without all the censorship and completely ad-free, that means absolutely no sponsors, click the join button down below to become a member. Members are going to get a lot of really sick stuff very soon. Anyway, can you believe that you're one of the most controversial figures I've ever had on this show?
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, you've had furries.
I've had Mia Khalifa, who was kind of controversial in her own way. Flat earthers. I think you might be more controversial than flat earthers.
That could be.
Why are you so controversial?
Ah, man. I think it's like a lot of unregulated confidence.
You have unregulated confidence?
Yeah, I think I have in the past. I've toned it down a bit.
Is that a good thing?
Oh, yeah, of course. You got to pick and choose what you're confident about, right?
But you go through a filter process of this might be a dumb idea.
You do realize you're spending way more time defending formerly edgy teens against leftists who are still grappling with rehabilitation than you do spend telling reformed edgy teens that they can expect roses for changing, that they can't expect roses for changing? Yeah, because because one is supposed to be more agreeable. One is ostensibly on my side. The other is literally not. The other I want to bring to my side. If I'm selling you a fucking car, I'm not going to be like, hey, this piece of shit fucking sucks, dumbass. The fuck do you mean? Like, yeah, my job is to be a gateway to progressive politics. Okay? That's what I do. Do you understand? That's what I've been doing, perhaps very successfully, for the past fucking almost 10 goddamn years, especially so on Twitch for the past 4. Why the fuck would I not try to tell all the other people in my circle to be a little bit more forgiving, especially when it ties into a larger systemic problem? and the cultural implications of said systemic problem in the form of like cancel culture all the way to our carceral state, why the fuck wouldn't I make a larger issue about that than what? Tell people that like, no matter what happens, no matter how much you change, no matter how much you strive to be a better person, there are always going to be smarmy, holier than thou dickheads that will constantly fucking slap you in the face and constantly fucking shove whatever you said back in the day that you hopefully can one day atone for and use that against you, demonstrating that change is impossible, so you shouldn't even fucking change at all, especially when we all understand that at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. Okay, that's the one thing that has changed in this goddamn community. There was no ads back in the day 4 years ago, but there's a 3-minute ad break. Other than that, nothing has changed. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get 1 free Prime subscription a month. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Okay, that's right. Some people will help you along the way. Def Not Sophie, thank you for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Okay. Remember this. To be honest, not trying to stir things up again as a black male. It's hard to trust these people who had an edgy pass, aka using the N-word pass. I haven't even have a problem with that, Ethan, even though I watch H3. No, I understand that. That's why I'm saying, although I understand it's a big ask, my only ask is that you maintain charitability towards those who have demonstrated that they've changed, especially because even you as a black male, for example, might have had some edgy opinions because we all are victims of our systems. What I mean by that is you might not have had a racist perspective against other black men, for example, but you might have been ableist in the past. You might have been misogynistic in the past. And that is normal, okay? But once you recognize that, you should strive to change that behavior. You should recognize why you have that. You should recognize why you feel that way and then work against it. Because human beings ultimately are complex. We are complicated. We are not perfect. You get it? If you are eating / leave the chair while watching your own video, would haters say you're still stealing content? Yeah, I don't want to get into that stuff.
Yeah, no?
Yeah, that's how the human brain works, I think.
Not everyone.
One. A healthy brain?
The people commenting right now, some of them, they don't have the filter.
Yeah, but they should refine that filter. They should build upon it.
So when I first asked you to be on this show like a year ago, you said that you were in a transitional point in your YouTube career.
Yeah. Before, when you messaged me, I was simply a keyboard warrior. I would record videos in my room primarily about other people.
Yeah.
I would be critical a lot of the time. That's where I guess sort of got some of my notoriety from, because it's very easy to do. You just sit on your computer, you watch a ton of, am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah, cuss a ton, please.
Okay, cool. It's not going to be bleeped though, is it?
It's going to be bleeped, but then there's going to be a version for members only where it's unbleeped.
Sick. Awesome, okay. I made a video about Keemstar, and it was very well-deserved criticism, and it was like no one was doing that. I was like, this guy's a complete asshole.
No one was criticizing Keemstar?
No.
I think everyone in the world has beef with him.
Oh, yeah,
I have beef with him.
At this point.
To be fair, at this point, back when he did it, though, he was definitely, like, way more accepted.
Yeah,
sure.
everyone.
But at the time, no one was doing it. I just got, like, fed up with it. And I was just like, I should make a video about this guy. And a lot of people, I think, for them, it was, like, relatable and also a little bit cathartic to be like, oh, finally, someone's, talking about the shit that, I've been seeing him do for the longest time. Like, this, feels a little good. And I think it's valid. I think there's totally a place for it. I've sort of just personally, I think, outgrown it. And during that time, I was like, a year ago when you asked me, I was like, well, I'm doing this boxing match, I'm not going to be chatting shit at anyone, really. I'm just going to have to fight in the ring,
right?
Put it all out there, and we'll see what happens. That was sort of the transitional period. I was probably like more unhappy with my experience at the time making these types of videos because I didn't really have much like a community or like a friend group. I did have a friend group in the form of Max Mofo, Filthy Frank, Chad, How to Basic. Those guys were all great to hang out with and make videos with. And that was probably the most like fun part of my experience on YouTube, was hanging out with those guys. And I would probably keep going in that path if not for, you know, us all living in like different continents. I think generally it was just kind of like wanting a little bit more, something was a little bit more rewarding, fulfilling. So that's kind of why I like started to, you know, move away from it.
And you've said that anyone who focuses their entire career on making edgy content, edgy jokes, eventually finds themselves wanting to do something more fulfilling with their lives.
Totally.
What is the fulfilling thing now?
I don't know, making things that are rewarding in more than one aspect. I really like, I've been enjoying making projects, lately, arts and crafts. I made this like fidget toy.
Yeah,
that you pop zits out
Thanos'
of.
colorful zits.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That was so much fun to do. I have a ton of other ideas like that, but it's not the reason people started following my channel. I think when I would make like a content cop video, for example, it would be like, you know, a month of work or something like that. And I would grind on this video. I'd write, you know, interesting points or whatever, write some sketches. It was just like anticipation for the day that I'm gonna upload it. And I upload it, and for those 24 hours, it's like, oh cool, there's a lot of comments, the video circulate.
Dude, 3 hours in, he still hasn't covered news? Yes, because I think this is profoundly important, okay? This is incredibly important to me. Sometimes it's going to be good to just talk about acceptance, learning, and being understanding. So yeah, you know, yeah, I haven't gotten to the fucking meat of it. I haven't gotten to the juice of it. I covered a little bit of like drama that pertained to me as well. And now I'm talking about how people need to be more understanding of those who have demonstrated change.
A lot.
It's like a dopamine rush.
Yeah, it's a big rush, it's a big hit.
Yeah.
You know, you'll have other creators messaging you saying like, oh, this is so awesome. I've been wanting to have someone make a video about Keemstar for ages. That guy's such an asshole. And it feels good and rewarding for like 24, 48 hours. And then it's kind of like, all right, like that really didn't do much of anything. It's not like you impacted the world in any sort of way. You know, Keemstar's still doing, what he's doing. It's just like entertainment. It's kind of like a similar impact to like bad reality TV, where it's like, that was entertaining.
But it's disposable.
Yeah.
In your Joke Police video, you said, hey, dumbass, you did something stupid in the past. You could be criticized for it. So do you welcome that same kind of criticism back at you?
Totally, yeah. I think it's valid. Just like, I guess, like Keemstar, Jinx, or whoever I made videos about, you know, they're completely valid in saying, you know, like, it makes me uncomfortable, I don't like it. Not that Keemstar's ever said that.
That would be very vulnerable.
Yeah, but yeah, it would be nice if he did, for sure.
Have you felt the need to apologize to anyone that you talk shit to in your videos?
There have been some moments where it was made very real to me that I am making an impact in the world, and it's not always positive. After the Fine Brothers situation with them making react something, I sort of jumped on the bandwagon, and I regret doing it because I didn't really have much to contribute to the conversation. I don't know, it was in pretty bad taste. It was just like, you know, I was saying either the same shit that anyone else was saying, or just generally making fun of them. I'm sure it was entertaining for, you know, some people, so mission accomplished on that front. But when I go to VidCon and the Fine Bros are there, it's kind of like, yeah, hey man, no hard feelings, right? It's shitty.
I actually felt the need to apologize to a very popular creator that I talked shit to online publicly in a video recently.
Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, sure. There was, you know, the time period of 2017, 2018 where it was so popular to make videos criticizing people. So I spent a day with Jake Paulers, and I was like, I'm gonna bring in his fans and kind of ask them questions about why they like him. And, you know, I kind of got the point across where it was like, they liked him because he was obnoxious, I guess, and they didn't really know why otherwise. And that was kind of the point of it. And I remember, you know, I released it, and I was kind of trying to prod a little bit. So I put this little clip on Twitter and tagged him in it. And my girlfriend at the time was like, yeah, but what was the point of it? And I was like, to show that I couldn't think of anything because it was like, people already talk shit.
Yeah.
What am I contributing to this? He got super pissed about it, and he DM'd me and called me an imbecile, and he went on his brother's podcast, Logan's podcast, and pulled up the clip, and he talked shit about me back.
I don't want to just like be another like Anthony Padilla that was like on Smosh.
It's an angst of someone who once was becoming irrelevant and being angry that the new generation is being received more than themselves.
That was kind of a rush too. It was like, ooh, we're both talking shit about each other. And that kind of just sat with me for a while where I was like, that actually didn't feel that good. So I reached out to him recently and I finally responded to him, and it's like 5 years later, and I was like, hey, sorry, you know, I was coming from a point where I was really lost. I had left Smosh. I didn't know what to do with myself and my career. And it was really popular to commentate and talk shit about people. You were just right there front and center of everyone talking shit about you. And I felt like, you know, that was my thing, was to contribute in that way. And he actually—
It's wild to call him irrelevant at that point because this is like right off Smosh, right? And I don't really know too much about Smosh, as you guys know, because I've had Anthony on. Love Anthony. I would consider him to be a good friend. And I've had him on my podcast. I've been on his Day in the Life episodes. Yes, I do have to pee. Wait, what the fuck? Dude, I swear to God, I hate how fucking parasocial this community is. It's insane. Like, you can tell I need to pee because I'm jumping up and down, but like micro movements. And you're so fucking tuned into every little thing I do that you can tell, stop. Please stop. Yes, I'm going to go pee right now.
Responded,
Fuck
and he
you.
was like,
God damn it.
"Hey, man,
Fuck
no
you.
hard
Oh
feelings,
my
I
God.
did. You know, we can all
Sometimes I hate being a
grow
streamer.
from things that we did and said in our past." It was so amicable in a way. I felt this release of tension that I didn't know I was holding in the back of my head, of this kind of guilt of just randomly punching down.
Yeah.
And overall, would highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. It makes a difference to be very vulnerable with people. And I think that's kind of like what maybe a lot of like commentary channels, that's certainly something that I was like, you know, having a hard time with, like being vulnerable. Even this like interview is like very, it's still difficult for me to do because I'm like, I don't want to talk about my life, my personal life. That's less to do with, I would say it's just more of like a content strategy or like being online strategy.
Do you think that came from talking shit about others? You didn't want to be a target yourself and you didn't give them any ammunition?
Of course. And that made a huge difference. I would say that, you know, a lot of the people who wanted to chat shit back, it's like, yeah, you can't really say too much. You know, this interview is an example of that. It's like plenty of people can reference it and be like, oh, see, you said this here. What about that? And, you know, I'm at the point in my life where I'm fine with it. Plenty of it is like, you know, well-deserved. Like, you know, if I'm going to put some negativity out in the world, like, it's very understandable that I would have it come back. Another thing that ended up kind of guiding the path a little bit.
You fucking immediately start spamming that you're sleeping and honk shoeing and me-meing. The moment that I go pee, okay, stop it. Stop it.
I did not like the interactions that I had with fans. There were quite a few
This is the
human
main part.
beings that I interacted with.
In person?
Yeah, in person, that just sucked. They just sucked because I attracted a lot of people who sucked. Some people were, as I described earlier, were very much like antisocial, weird, basement dwellers. And, you know, the one time a month that they come.
It's like watching Oppenheimer regretting making the atom bomb. Yeah, except that's wild to make a comparison of like one of the most destructive fucking pieces of, like, you know, you're talking about the atom bomb and you're comparing it to like a dude saying the N-word. You know what I mean? He reinforced the pre-existing racist systems. He didn't kill people. You know what I mean? That's like wild. He didn't kill millions. Not millions, but like hundreds of thousands. You know what I mean? My man compared the atom bomb to the N-bomb.
Come out of their cave is going to restock on supplies at Walmart, and they run into me, their favorite YouTuber.
Which is kind of the lifestyle you were living at the time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't blame them.
And what would they say? What would they do?
Things that I am certainly not going to repeat. I'm talking bad words. cringy behavior that like maybe I do in a video because I got a camera pointed at me. There'd be some of that energy matched in person, and it's like, oh, maybe not.
So when you were on camera doing it, you felt like it was just for comedy, for entertainment?
Yeah, I mean, generally, yeah. And then, you know, it's just antisocial, weird behavior. Surely you've had some fans like quoting smosh shit.
Yeah, when they're like, shut up! And I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, that was a lot.
I mean, that's pretty much all I'm talking about, but maybe
I'm trying to funny.
change the word shut up to something worse. And then.
So words that we only say by describing the first letter?
Yeah, exactly.
But iDubbbz literally said the N-word all the time. Why was he surprised that his fans said it to him? Brother, that's literally what he's saying. Like, he's saying that when he realized the impact that he had on others who were basically doing the exact same things that he had put on camera, when they did it to him, okay, he started realizing how fucking cringe it was. Are you not listening to the conversation? Like, for a lot of people, you know, for a lot of people, it's just like, that's what it took for you to recognize. That's the easiest argument to make here. If you don't have charitability, you're like, why the fuck, like, why would you even openly state this, right? You're like, what? That's what it took? That's what it took? How sheltered were you that you thought that like someone doing it to you in public was what it took for you to recognize? But that's what it took for him, right? That is what it took for him. So who cares? He recognized it though. What matters is he recognized it and he changed.
Boy, man, what a powerful way of putting it.
But they would hear you ironically using language like that, and then they would throw it back at you unironically.
Yeah, after having
his fans were a mirror, and he didn't like his reflection. Exactly.
For those experiences and being like, these are the people that I'm attracting. These are the people that I'm entertaining. Like, I need to reevaluate things. They're relating and enjoying this content for a reason, and that's not maybe the same reason that I'm trying to make. I had a very Wild West mentality when it came to online behavior. Like, people are going to do what they want to do. People are going to say what they want to say. And I can pretty much do the same because it's the internet. But I think you have to be a lot more responsible. I
mean, I feel like sitting here with you now and seeing who you've become, I mean, you feel like a different person. You feel like a different energy, for lack of a better term.
Oh, I'm a totally different person. all of the cells in my body have changed.
Don't they change every like 7 years?
Yeah. We're coming up on it.
Yo, you're a different person entirely.
Yeah. Yes, and my physique's different.
Oh yeah? You care to show off those guns?
We're not going to do that.
Oh, they're going to have to see the exclusive pay-per-view content of you boxing to know what the physique actually looks like under this very well-dressed man.
Oh, thank you.
Some people think that you getting married is what actually entirely changed you.
No, I mean, I got married to Anissa, I want to say, 5 years into our relationship. Anissa helped me with like a lot of the videos that I think the fans have appreciated the most.
Content cop?
Yeah, a lot of content cops, a lot of other random videos that I am still very proud of. Because I don't often talk about my personal life, I've sort of like disincluded Anissa in, I guess, a lot of the interviews and content that I've talked about over the years. And to be honest, that's something that I definitely regret because she's...
Chat, can we have proof of the change? People, Haas, dude, just trust me. He changed. I know him. Rehabilitation. That's so funny. Does your dick get hard or your clit get fucking hard when you come across like the most morally superior person who's like incapable? Do you, or when you misconstrue my perspective? Do you just want his blood? Fucking, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? It's not just trust me, bro. Listen to his fucking words. Like, what do you mean? Isn't that what you're seeing right now? He's quite literally taking on things that he's said and done in the past. And like in person, openly saying that I did not like the reflection in the mirror that was staring back at me because I recognized that the fandom that I had cultivated was toxic. What do you want? It's a serious question. I think it's really, really hard to openly admit that from the jump. And not many people do. Not many people do anyway. Okay? But ultimately, not many people do that. And it makes it even harder for people to like openly apologize when your immediate reaction to that is just, oh, you're backtracking now, but you're still the same person. Or, oh, there's another cynical reason as to why you're doing this. When in fact, you don't have to. He never had to stop being racist. He could have just kept being racist and like maybe switched over the dog whistles a little bit. It's not like it's fucking not profitable to be racist. There's plenty of fucking racist content creators out there who haven't changed from that time. You know what I mean? So why do you expect him to dig in, dig his heels in and keep fucking making the same exact content? Like, what the fuck? This is the same thing that people say about me. People don't see content creators as people. This is a huge issue and probably a reason for a lot of these takes, as you've said. He'd probably be making way more money if he kept being racist. Yeah, exactly. The incentive for changing your POV, external exile and shame. Yeah, like why the fuck? And here's the other yeah, dude. Like we got Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Tim Pool, all these other motherfuckers. And there's like plenty of right-wingers in the essay space too. Why isn't he just like doing that? Why isn't he just doing like center-right content? You think he's not capable? You think he doesn't know he could do that? Hasanabi stream 2 years from now. Oh my God, dude. Why are you going to hit me like that? That's fucked up. Huh. Anyway. Are you trying to say money is racist? What? I don't know what you're saying, dude. That's like a ridiculous way to miss the point. How about he step away from the camera and just live a quiet life, work in sanitation or some shit? Wait, how? Why? Why do you get to make that? Do I want the same content? Of course not. I'm happy you changed, but I'm trying to find and understand where the rebrand happened. I've spent all my time online. I haven't spent all my time online. Yeah, some people don't fucking openly rebrand. That's what I mean. Especially because it's like shameful. So it takes a lot for people to like say, oh man, like, I fucked up back then. Do you see what I mean? You get it? Sometimes there is no like, these are the things I said that are wrong, and it's fine that I said those things. I'm not like that at all anymore. That's not how that works sometimes. Sometimes it takes a while. That's why I say he's like slowly becoming more open about his perspective shift. Ethan is a great example of this too. PewDiePie racist? Serious question. My girlfriend doesn't like him. I have no idea. I don't know, but he's not in the eye. He's not under public scrutiny. I suspect that he's no longer as like as red-pilled as he once was. Yes, but I don't know.
To the complete opposite. She's like open book. She'll stream and she'll talk about her entire day. I think a lot of people get angry or frustrated or they doubt her because they haven't heard it from me. But everything, like she's my partner. Everything that she says, like. For the most part, I'm down with. I'm getting to the point where I'm like a lot more comfortable about it. And I think it does more good than harm to just be more of an open book.
You've been very private with the details that you have talked about publicly. Have you ever talked about your childhood? I feel like I haven't really.
One of the first instances of Ian actually opening up about his past and like his perspective shift was literally on this fucking broadcast. And while I was like asking him questions about that, like I could tell that he was just like very uncomfortable talking about it because he's never actually like personally came out and showcased that he was a different person. Like if you remember that video, if you remember that interview that we did, you'll recall like he was just like, he's trying to say it's cringy and it's shitty, but like what he's trying to say is that it's fucking gross, toxic, racist, and he doesn't believe in any of those things. You know what I mean? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. And he's even matured from then. Like, this is one of the first times he talked about it. And then, and as time grows, I am a firm believer that, like, he will lean into it even further. That's why I'm saying all you can do is sometimes just sit back and wait.
Really seen much about.
iDubbbz wasn't racist. He wasn't right-wing. Edgy, sure, but not racist, toxic. Maybe his fan base was, but he wasn't. Brother, it doesn't matter. When you're fucking saying the N-word with a hard R and making it your political perspective, yes, that's racist. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to win. You're not going to be able to win this audience over, okay? Good luck trying to explain to a black person that, like, someone who wants to say the N-word with a hard R for whatever kind of, like, libertarian free speech principle is not racist. It doesn't work that way, okay? The lack of awareness in this circumstance is what it is. It's like, even if it's negligent, it's still such a glaringly wide, massive blind spot that it, like, you know, that negligence is coming from a white supremacist understanding. Okay? But ultimately, I believe that even people who have advocated for that kind of thing could still make up for it. Possibly because I'm white. Definitely. My privilege inherently allows me to make this assertion, this broad assertion.
You know, how you became iDubbbz. Now I think is the perfect time to talk to you about today's sponsor, Honey, which is the easy. Have you ever talked about your childhood? I feel like I haven't really seen
How funny that a bunch of
about...
leftists are against you being compassionate to an individual trying to grow. Yeah, it's always going to happen. It's always going to happen. It's like very aesthetically pleasing to just like come across like you're fucking hunting Nazis or whatever the fuck when you yell at a dude who definitely has some racist takes, who no longer believes them, and you're just maintaining that purity.
You know, how you became...
It's just young people, too.
I grew up in Southern California. I have an older sister. I was raised by a single mother till I was 10-ish. I made a lot of friends with, like, the weird kids. They're actually not weird. They were guys who were also raised by single mothers. They were a little bit more, I would say, that they just weren't assholes.
Oh, they had some sense of empathy?
Yeah, exactly. I think we related in a lot of ways, but I don't think we realized that it was most likely because we were raised in a single parent household. My dad was in...
Okay. He literally proliferated bad ideologies in the cringe era of YouTube. I believe in rehabilitation, but a price must be paid. What's this guy going to do? Go contemplate life in his mansion while doing nothing about his gross fandom? Well, first of all, ever since he has very openly came out against like the fandom that he cultivated, people have been shitting on him. So I'm just saying, don't pile on with the fucking gross, cringe, weirdo Nazis that are like, oh, you changed, you fucking suck now, by also saying, oh, you changed, you fucking suck, because you never actually really changed, but on the left. Also saying a price must be paid is so fucking weird. Like, what? Yeah, what are you, Sephiroth? Sephiroth? Like, who the fuck is this? Why are you a villain? Like, why are you on your villain arc? Like, a price must be paid, blood for blood. You know, it's not a fucking purity thing, bro. I grew up as a black teenager, and this motherfucker particularly made my life more difficult, especially when all my friends watched him and felt super comfy saying the N-word. Dude, I get it. I'm not saying he wasn't impactful. I'm not saying that at all. Guys, when you were growing up as a black teenager, I was also, again, a content creator on the internet that was very, very openly fucking defending the same values that I hold today, right, at the Young Turks. And even as a tiny fucking marginal content creator that was like one of the many content creators at TYT, I was still getting death threats. I was still getting fucking doxing threats. I was still getting my ass blasted into fucking oblivion, okay? Or Islamophobia on top of everything else. So my point is that yes, I too, maybe not to the same degree as yourself, but I too have, even as a white guy on the internet, saw some of the impact of that cringe era YouTube, okay? That cringe era YouTube of like white supremacy running rampant. One of the main things that I talked about all the time with YouTube, every single time I had meetings with them, was to rein in the alt-right shit, rein in the fucking alt-right rabbit hole for years and years and years and years. Okay? I'm just saying it's not a purity thing for a lot of us. Ethan did the same shit and it sucks. I understand that. I know. Also, yeah, saying it's a cringe era is like a light way of calling it. Okay? But ultimately, you should still, no matter what happens, you should still be more open-minded towards those who have shown their proclivity to change, those who say, I am no longer the person that I was. That it should be a fundamental principle instilled upon you, because ultimately you would want that for a relative, you would want that for yourself, you would want that for others, okay? Because at the end of the day, we are still absolutely motivated, guided by the socially learned constructs that we make a permanent part of our ideology, that we make a permanent part of our identity. Okay? I want people, especially people with large audiences, to want to change, to do that, to demonstrate that publicly. Why do I always defend XQC when people say, oh, dude, remember when you got banned for homophobia, for telling a gay man to like suck your dick and that he would like it or whatever? Why? Because I know for a fact that because you want his clout. Exactly. That's why I do it. That's why I also simultaneously call him out, because again, I want his clout when he does some wrong things. Also for clout. Everything I do is for clout. No, the reason why I defend that while also rip into him when he's being a fucking asshole, but defend him on that principle, is because all y'all saying is it was hard for you because you were called the N-word and you need to realize you're infinitely more privileged than some other kid who's also experienced racism but wasn't fortunate enough to live in a first world country. What? No, stop. It is not easy to be fucking dehumanized by your friends or by everyone that you grew up with. That's an insane fucking take, my friend. What the hell are you talking about? Yes, there's always going to be someone that's less privileged than you, but there's always going to be someone that's infinitely more privileged than you. That's a silly take. Richard Spencer has been recently pushing a leftist message and philosophy online. Would you forgive him for being a neo-Nazi? Richard Spencer is still a neo-Nazi. Like, he has not changed. What are you talking about? The fuck? It's like saying Tucker Carlson has been saying pro-labor shit, which means he's no longer a fucking fascist. Should we forgive him? Yeah, dude. No, he's doing the same shit Hitler did, dumbass. What the fuck are you talking about? Which is making it seem like they care about socialism or making it seem like they care about labor only as a successful vehicle to drive home the fucking narrative that they are nationalist, okay? Those are the guys who recognize. Also, comparing Richard Spencer to iDubbbz is wild, but, you know, just understand that the idea that someone says they're a liberal does not make them a liberal, okay? You have to make these assertions on your own. You have to look at the complete picture that they're presenting you with. It's like, I'm not going to sit here and act like Tim Pool is a centrist liberal, okay? He's not. There's a difference between someone like Tim Pool who's still cutting right-wing content while simultaneously calling himself a centrist liberal. There's a difference between that, and there's a difference between Richard Spencer saying that he is no longer, I mean, he has never even said he's no longer a Nazi. He's just still a neo-Nazi. He's just utilizing a different tactic. You have to look at what he has done, what he has said, watch this video, I guess, okay? And simultaneously understand that, like, in this field, he doesn't have to fucking change at all. If anything, he just kept growing and done a more Tim Pool style, I'm actually a centrist shit.
Prison, so he came back when I was around 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he wasn't in my life for a period.
What was it like reconnecting with a parent, you know, bringing them back into your life when they technically were a stranger?
I think the biggest thing is just, like, how different fathers want to raise their sons.
Well, it was like, come on, we're going to go throw the pigskin, son.
That kind of shit.
Was it a lot
amplify
of like,
that maybe a little bit.
How amplified did it get?
Gender role type shit and like an idea of how men need to be. And, you know, being raised by a single mother, like I didn't really fit a lot of those norms or those ideas. Chores is a good example. Like, what does a guy do for chores versus a woman? Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, take out the trash.
Oh, because men are gross.
Because they're gross.
They love rolling around in
they
shit.
They stink.
Facts. What else?
The yard work, because they get in the dirt.
It's also dangerous.
Oh,
in the
dangerous.
yard.
Yeah.
You know, you can get stolen, kidnapped.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows? But if you're a man, you're not going to get kidnapped. Impossible.
No one wants to human traffic you.
Yeah, because you got a dick.
That's right.
And balls. One memory that I had, I liked reptiles. I liked animals growing up.
Yeah, you're into amphibians and shit.
Yeah, amphibians.
Yeah.
My dad and I went to a reptile store, but like I was kind of thinking maybe I wanted a snake, but it had like a little cute nose. It was all, it wasn't one of those like evil fucking diamond-shaped heads
Right.
that look like they're gonna fucking snap you. And I was like, that one's pretty cool. But my dad was there. There was a little pressure there to get the snake that my dad was a little vibing with a little bit
the
more.
scarier one.
The one that was like, maybe a few feet longer.
Yeah.
It was a little bit bigger around. So of course we got that one.
Yeah.
And we had that snake in my room.
you were just like,
So far, Idubbbz neither acknowledged nor apologized for the hurt he's caused. He just didn't like that his fans were cringe. I think in time, he will also openly state that as well. No, I think that's fair. I think I think that he is so fucking disgusted with what he's doing or what he used to do that like it takes a while. It takes a while for him to like openly fucking state that. Okay? No. I don't think he's gonna like. I wonder if he'll talk about that later in the show because like he's talking about being vulnerable here and stuff like that. But this is exactly what I was saying. His material conditions led him to being opposed to the current culture and alienated. This is probably what led him to reactionary narratives. That was the easiest way to explain the world. Yes. I feel like a lot of leftists don't actually want change. They just want a high horse that comes with shitting on people. No. There is some of that. I think a lot of people mistake leftism with like purity and being the moral good guy in every circumstance. What? Why are you so okay with him not openly rejecting his racist opinions by denouncing his old self and letting him slowly slide? Because I myself am a content creator, because I have met this person, because I understand that in some respects he's like going through that process and he's been shit on for the past year or two since he like personally made that difference. You know what I mean? He made that internal shift. Change happens not overnight, but instead over a long period of time. Okay? And the point is he already has, like, he's just not openly stating it for you. He's not saying it in the way that you can understand, comprehend, and say yes to. Many of you will not actually fucking expect him, or many of you will not even take that for an answer anyway. Yeah. It is important to note that if, as a content creator, you apologize or admit fault, the internet will not care and treat you with good faith. Yeah, there's that element too. There is that too. Exactly. I mean, how many times have I fucking apologized for a thing like because I falsely predicted something, right? Because my prediction, even if my analysis was sound, my prediction was wrong. Did that stop motherfuckers from still to this day constantly talking about this shit? No. The people in the back, what did he do? He made a lot of videos. That was a smorgasbord of like different kinds of ideology, but ultimately one of the ones that a lot of people you've called other content creators out for not genuinely apologizing. What are you talking about? Maybe in the moment, like if they're in the process, but that doesn't mean that like I don't acknowledge when people change. What the fuck what are you talking about? Like I have no interest in like defending him. You know what I mean? If I didn't think it was genuine, I would not defend him. You know? How do you feel about creators like Johnson who never really changed or apologized but really brought that stuff in their content? Who's Johnson?
Scared of it in the corner?
I mean, pretty much.
Hasan, you're being way too fucking charitable with this guy, biased even. Yeah, no, I am being way too charitable. I'm not only being charitable, but I also ask you to try to be charitable as well.
The top of the enclosure was just like essentially a screen door.
Yeah.
That just like kind of pressed in, and this snake was big.
Uh-huh.
So that sucker would just push that screen door open and just leave at will. And one time it was out of the cage, and it wrapped itself around.
Oh, he made a bunch of videos in which like he would defend saying the N-word with a hard R and saying the F word and numerous other things like that. He was like very libertarian. As far as his politics goes, I think that was like his most like overtly right-wing position. Some of the other positions he had was not necessarily that all that right-wing, but he definitely was you know, very, very irresponsible. His analysis sometimes was actually sound and dare I say even progressive on certain issues, but that one issue absolutely overrode everything else because he did utilize a lot of like 4chan memetics, I guess, and that like, oh, I should be able to say it. You know, that energy was what made. He was in either everyone can say it or no one can, Andy. Exactly, which was bullshit. And that I do believe is a racist take. But having said that, I don't think that he holds those beliefs anymore.
The bottom like leg of the dresser that was on. So there was like a situation where it was like, okay, I'm lifting up the dresser so my dad can go in there and get the snake. My dad gets bitten while he's under there. I'm shocked, so I fucking like dropped the dresser.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a great reaction. But yeah, he exploded on me and like didn't really, you know, definitely made me feel bad for reacting the way that I did. And that was like, that was a memory that I had because it was just very, it was a lot. And it was like with a thing that I didn't even want to be friends with, the snake. There was a disconnect there.
What about your living situation growing up?
We lived in a trailer park for the first, like, I don't know, I guess 7 or 8 years. When my dad got out of prison, that's when we were able to like move into a proper house. My mom had a lot to deal with, but it amazes me that like she was able to be a single mom with a husband that she's still like, you know, in contact with and like, you know, occasionally visiting in prison and raising 2 kids. It's like, I get worried about getting like a second dog.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
You mentioned to me that some people talk shit about you and they're like, trailer park, this and that. You're like, literally.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I don't like, I guess, necessarily identify it with it too much because it's like, I don't know. I blot a lot of that out in my memory. And I also don't interpret it as bad as it maybe was. That's something that Anise has gone to like therapy a number of times, and she says to me like, it could be like a lot worse than you know, because when people have trauma and people have like bad experiences, like especially in childhood, you just don't remember it. And a lot of times your brain needs to do that to survive. So
yeah, literally, that's all the coping mechanism.
For people to say, IDUB still has the video of him saying the N-word on his channel with 34 million views, shouldn't he delete it if he's changed? I mean, I told Ethan not to delete the Jordan Peterson conversation that he had, but he did it anyway. And yet people still fucking use that against him all the time. People literally either will turn around and say, oh, I can't believe you fucking deleted that. You're trying to hide what you actually used to be when you were so proud of it back then. Or they say you're a fucking gigantic pussy. There is no win in that circumstance. And he might not even have personally thought about it. Your tweet draft. Yeah, literally, dude. One of the main reasons why like half of Black Twitter keeps saying I'm fucking racist is because the Barb saw a tweet that I drafted that I never even fucking sent. That people literally, which by the way, contextually wasn't even fucking all as racist the way that they try to make it seem while she was defending Tucker Carlson, right? Like it doesn't fucking matter. People go off of vibes. They go off of vibes. Right now, if your vibes are fucked, they're going to still, no matter what you fucking do, act like you're a piece of shit, you're a bad guy. Yeah. And if you think that those videos are fucking monetized, I don't know. Like either you're hiding the evidence or you're still profiting off of it. Yeah. How do you not see that? How do you not see that like it's a lose-lose situation no matter what? Okay? It's a lose-lose situation no matter what the fuck you do. It's the same as me doing charity. I didn't do it publicly, so I wasn't doing it, and I was lying. Now that I do it publicly, I'm doing it for clout. There is no winning in that circumstance. At a certain point, you guys got to Do what you believe is the right thing to do and move on, and not do it for the sake of other people recognizing where you're coming from. Yeah. It's not even, most likely it's not monetized, by the way. You know what I mean? His MR videos, no way they're fucking monetized.
Mechanisms that we develop as children are to make those experiences not feel traumatic, even though they might sit with us for the rest of our lives.
Totally.
Unless we process it.
Yeah.
But that's hard. I don't want to process. And then you have to cry and shit.
Yeah, no thanks.
No.
Men don't cry.
Men don't cry.
I've hit a point recently where I cry a lot more often. From really weird shit too. We watched the Puss in Boots movie.
And that hits you?
I cried like probably 3 different times in it.
Why are you more open to crying now?
Gaining empathy.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you always had it. You just shut it off.
I mean, that might be a good way of putting it. It's hard to tell because I haven't, I haven't self-reflected too much on it. Being that way, being avoidant and not, sharing feelings or thoughts and hoarding them has led to like a lot of missed business opportunities, a lot of missed personal connections. I'm trying to get better at it.
Maybe you can relate to this, but my mother being a single mother and seeing her feel so overwhelmed all the time, I didn't want to add
With
to it.
agoraphobia.
What does that mean? That means not expressing your emotions and convincing yourself that you don't feel any emotions. But now that I've gotten better, through years of therapy and changing my perspective about where emotions actually go, it's allowed me to see things a lot more clearly. These are emotions that I was hiding away. They're all tucked away neatly behind walls. And once I started dismantling these walls, I'm able to get a much better perception of the things in front of me.
Yeah, I that's a great way of putting it. Like having a much clearer view and, not having those thoughts influence kind of everything that you do and everything you interact with.
And it seems like those are some of the feelings that you were feeling while creating the content that was a little bit more aggressive. It was almost a way for you to express some of those emotions that you had blocked away that you didn't know that you felt about your life at the time.
And I think that's in a big way why I wanted to move away from it. It's like, oh, some of these things have been a little bit more addressed, or I can, my view is a little bit wider now and the world is a little bit more complicated. Maybe going back to that comment I said earlier, just being a little bit more confident or being less confident in sort of the bad habits or things that I've developed over the years, whether it be through trauma or anything else.
Why did you get into YouTube when you first started getting into YouTube?
My whole goal, to be honest, was just make it to enough to live on. I just did not want a normal job.
Yeah.
That was I think that's a lot of people's incentive is God, do I not want to, I worked at The Gap.
So you know how to fold a good shirt.
No.
No?
No, they let me go. It was seasonal work.
You got fired from The Gap?
I wouldn't say it's fired. They said,
let go.
Let go because we're done with the holiday season. We don't need you anymore. But if I was a good employee, they would have kept me. The second job was Legoland. And while I was working at Legoland, I had that job on lock. It was cool. It was just a standard job. I wanted just a basic job. I didn't want to be let go because it was the end of the season or whatever.
So you found a really secure job?
Yeah, super secure. They loved hiring newly, either high schoolers or newly graduated. So I was perfect for the role. I worked really hard doing videos while doing that, and to the point where I could quit. And it happened pretty quickly because you don't need to do too much on YouTube to beat a job that's paying you $8 an hour. I was going to school as well, college. I had a finance professor. I was failing this finance class.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, yeah, so I know my grade's low, but I'm going to Australia to make some videos with my friends. So I'm gonna miss a couple of these classes. It was my second time taking the class.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
Because you already failed the first time?
Yeah. It was so bad. And the second time around wasn't much better at all. But then he was inquiring about what I was doing in Australia, why this was a big deal. He wanted to see.
He wanted to know why. He's like, this better be good.
Yeah. I showed him this fucking video of us doing, it's a video called Deadly Twister. we are all in like Where's Waldo costumes.
Yeah.
And we're like stepping in spaghetti and putting our fingers in mouse traps and shit. It was super bizarre.
You're like, this is my professor's gonna love it.
I needed to show him something that had like good views on it or something.
Oh, yeah, you're like, that justifies it.
Yeah, I just like, I need to show him the legitimacy of it. I kept scrolling and was like, you know, like, hey, like, look at this, like views, like this is important, right? Like this is my job. You'd give other people time off if it was their job. He didn't really get it, but he had like a curiosity about like, I wonder what like the young kids are doing these days.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was one of the young kids these days.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, neat. Like, it kind of felt like he was happy that I was willing to share something with him. Because he was very fuddy-duddy finance professor. And no one considered him like, you know, like a professor they could chill and hang out with.
No one tried to connect.
Yeah, so I was like, kind of fortunate. Like, I think that's why I ended up getting a passing grade, because I was at least giving him a window into my life. And then I think when I came back, I had shaved eyebrows, a shaved head.
Right. You put it all on the line. You sacrificed your entire physical appearance for that video.
Yeah, that's easy, though. It's hard for you. You're a pretty boy.
Yeah, no, I can't get away with that. That's literally, you invited me to be part of Creator Clash, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not interested in boxing. Real reason, I gotta protect the goods.
Yeah.
I'm not about to get my face decimated.
Oh, dude, it kind of looks hot though.
Is it hot?
When you have, like, you have to have the appropriate amount of damage. Like, if you got a black eye, you look so hard.
Kind of sexy. It's like, he's
yeah.
seen some
You don't want to get
shit.
swollen though.
No. You don't want to change the shape of the face. You just want some, accents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get some cuts.
Yeah, that video that you made right afterwards where you had two black eyes. I was like, this iDubbbz guy, kind of looking a little sexy, if I do say so.
That I did not look good in that video.
But you had some battle wounds, bro.
I looked like a fucking like a Navi, like an Avatar creature. I honestly think if you got into boxing, you'd love it.
I mean, I've done some boxing classes and really enjoyed it. I could definitely see the allure. Wait, I have a question. Who would you have put me up against if I had said, yes, that sounds great, I'd love to get hit in the face?
So what we usually do is we would get your height and your weight, and then we would find someone near your height and your weight.
5'11", 175.
Yeah. And then we would pitch opponents to you.
Odd ones out, I could take him.
James definitely wants to fight. So like,
really?
Yeah, that could, if you wanted it, we could definitely make that happen for next year, hands down.
I'm not committing right now.
That's fine.
But
you have to be confident about who you're fighting.
I feel pretty confident about taking James out.
That's I like that. Yeah,
I'm not saying anything. I'm just putting a little seed out there. We'll see what happens with it.
Oh, that's good.
We'll see what happens.
Wow.
I'm not getting into mindset.
Respect.
I'm just putting a seed. Hey, that makes it look official. There was just a seed.
All right.
We'll see what happens.
I like a seed because that's it, right? Like, I never wanted to do this shit. Rice Gum called me out to box in 2018, and I said no, or I didn't say anything because I didn't want to look like a.
You're not gonna say no. Not publicly.
Right. Enough time had passed, and I had gained enough confidence myself, and became comfortable with the idea that I was like, oh yeah, of course, I will destroy him. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way. I was paired up with Dr. Mike.
When you went out there to fight Dr. Mike, you were the headliner.
Yeah.
You didn't just put together a boxing match with creators and watch from the sidelines and reap the benefit. I mean, there's two things there. It was for charity, which was amazing. You raised over $1 million.
And I have to say that a lot of people give me a lot of credit for putting this event together. Anissa is like the big brain behind it all, and she does a lot. She does, most of the work with the other fighters. She finds coaches for people. Boxing coaches are like notoriously hard to work with because they're tough. They, you ask any, boxing coach, hey, we plan.
I've told you this already. I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm very confident in my abilities. I'm not going to fucking step into a ring and possibly get concussed so a bunch of you fucking weirdos can feel like, I did something. I don't care. Not gonna happen. it's not worth it.
On doing this creator boxing event, and they're gonna think you're a total joke. Like, no, like boxing isn't a game. You can't just take it up casually.
I have a lot of respect
Honestly,
for
like,
those who do.
Anissa doesn't get
I'm just not
enough
gonna do it.
credit for how much she does for the whole show.
Were you expecting people to want to come back the next year after this?
Not at all. I thought everyone who lost would definitely not want to come back. People who won might want to do it, but what ended up happening was pretty much everyone except Michael Reeves and Graham Stephan wanted to come back.
How is this year's Creator Clash going to be different than last year's?
All of the fighters have had much more time to prepare. We've made sure that every fighter has a legit coach. We have more female fights. We have 3 female fights, and they're in 3 different weight classes.
How do you think the training, the physical training, has translated to, you know, mental, emotional, internal states?
I have like so many cool boxing content ideas. And now that I've done it, I'm like, oh, you don't have time or energy to do anything other than boxing. There's just like a lot of things that I've had to learn along the way. Like my coach is a tough ass guy. You know, he's got a little of the toxic male qualities, and it's made it hard sometimes because, you know, the way he talks to me sometimes, I could be a little bit sensitive to it. So that's like led to a couple times where I've just like kind of broke down. If you have like a bad sparring session, it's like that alone feels bad. But if you're getting your shit kicked in and your coach is like exuding their disappointment to you the whole time while it's happening, it's like, I just kind of suck. He's gotten a lot better at it, and it's really not his fault. Like that's literal, and Anissa's told me this. She's like, that is the most normal thing. You're not gonna find a coach that's gonna fucking take care of your feelings, bitch. Like, and I'm like, okay, I understand.
Well, in a sense, they're almost preparing you for those feelings, right?
Exactly.
But they're going to come up, especially if you are losing in a fight.
I would just say that maybe it's given me more confidence just in life. That obviously comes from, you know, being able to defend myself, and also just knowing that it's like a sport, because sometimes I'll get really down on myself. It just feels weird, right? Because you're like your sparring partners in boxing, like they're your friends, but you also have to do well against them, and you have to hurt them. Sometimes I'll grapple with that a little bit, where it's like, oh, I don't like. Can we play more? Do we have to box, or can we just like tap each other? And it's like, no, we have to box. We have to hurt each other.
You have to treat it like it's the actual scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like this conversation today, this interview, would be different if you had never gotten into the boxing stuff?
Yeah, it would be. I think I'd be less vulnerable in general. And I'd say Anissa has been very like instrumental. I think most guys can say that about their partners, is like they're going to have insight that you cannot have about yourself. You have to like be able to stand them and not like leave the situation.
Right.
I'm avoiding, I'll just fucking leave. I don't have to face it. But with my partner that I want to like continue this relationship with, they hold the mirror up and they say, this is like this thing that you're doing or whatever, it's very ugly. You might want to think about that.
Do you want to get into what's next? What other plans you have outside of Creator Clash? You want to tease anything?
I love making videos, and I don't want to like stop making videos, but continuing to box and make videos is so hard. So I definitely need to like choose one or the other.
This is also part of the reason. It's like you don't have enough time to train adequately while also simultaneously pumping fucking 10 hours of content.
Maybe I could, do videos for a year, take a break, and do some boxing. My general focus is making videos and just kind of a return to form a little bit. Obviously, like leaving all the things that I wasn't a fan of or have grown to like really not like over time. Leaving that behind and, at least keeping some of, what makes the iDubbbz channel the iDubbbz channel. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to figure that out. Hopefully with time, like people will be like, oh yeah, he does that sort of thing now. And that interests me. If it doesn't interest some people, then, RIP.
What brings you the most joy?
I think making content with people who I enjoy being around, like my wife. Anissa. It checks a lot of boxes. I think working with other people is amazing. I think it's really undervalued. I think everyone wants to, you know, work at home alone because they're just so used to like kind of being forced to have these interactions. But when you love the people that you're around, it's so awesome to do more things with them. Creator clashes, like I never would have fucking dreamed that we'd do something like this.
Yeah.
Boxing, it's strange. I at least thought that we would have done it for money. It with me every time I think about it. I'm like, I don't box. What the hell is this?
You get to create content which you love doing. You get to bring people together, and you get to do something fulfilling in the sense that you're raising money for charity.
Yeah, and I think old me, I don't think realized that reality was possible. I wouldn't have thought that like you can do like have that much good.
Come on, let me at him. You guys are way too fucking quick with it, dude. Dude, your stream fucking sucks. You're just eating. You suck and I'm unfollowing. Anyone can do your job, you useless piece of shit, says Nancy SBF. Nancy's boyfriend. So, one thing I will say, following since 10 minutes ago, he literally followed just to say this, to unfollow. You're right. That is true. Anyone could do my job. And, you know, that part is true. It's true. I have nothing to say to that. A lot of other people also do the exact same thing that you're talking about, but I'm sure you feel like they are good and you don't have an issue with them because you agree with them. You're charitable because you are a premium saltine. I've been on the receiving end of racist, sexist, edgelord harassment as a child in school and as an adult at work. It's traumatic, and now I have an aversion to anyone who puts that energy out there. It goes beyond dark humor. I think you should let the minorities be unforgiving. I mean, I know that it goes beyond dark humor, and I know how traumatic it is, but I'm not going to stop advocating for things that I believe in, you know, and one of the fundamental things I believe in is allowing people to grow and change, because ultimately that is beneficial for everyone. You create a space where others can also feel comfortable growing. Nah, premium saltine is crazy. I mean, it's true. I am a fucking premium saltine. I have the pass. Did you never say or think something transphobic? Do you think that feeling isn't there for trans people? Are you talking to the other people? Yeah, I mean, I like, guys, I am the perfect example of this. Okay, I am the perfect example of this. I believed in transphobic shit. Can you imagine people calling you the sand N-word? Yeah, but it still doesn't matter because I am so saltine. So it, like, yeah, I've been called the sand N-word from the jump. But I am saltine as a motherfucker, so it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? So there is truth to that. But ultimately, our goal should be to get more people on board with the cause, to get more people on board with our ideas. And if you want to do that, you can't constantly chirp at motherfuckers who are acknowledging that they were in the wrong in the past and have demonstrated that they're changed, that they no longer hold on to those same behaviors. And that kind of growth takes a lot of time, right? Takes a long ass time to get there. And some people never get there. I see no reason to just be an overall angry person at those who I believe ostensibly are now on my side, regardless of what they used to say or do in the past. I used to hate watch Hasanabi and was super transphobic, but I turned around. Yeah, there are so many examples of people like this. Now, that doesn't mean we should allow racism to fester in this community, right? We don't do that. That doesn't mean we should allow transphobia to fester in this community. We don't do that. We eviscerate bigotry in this community every time it comes up. But you have to remember that there is a reason why we have grown as a community to the levels that we have grown to, that is because I have no time. Didn't your haters used to call you Brown Fabio? Like they tried to be racist by calling you hot? Yeah. Man, I haven't heard that in a long ass time. Yeah, they used to say that all the time. Which is funny because like Fabio is literally browner than me, but he was white and I'm not, right? In their eyes. I haven't heard that in so long. What a fucking throwback. Everyone has been hateful, including black, trans, gay, white people. Everyone has been problematic. If they've changed and are working to undo these things, or at least verbally disavowing hate, then they're on our side. Yup. Yeah. And before people say, like, what do you mean? That's not true. Like, what do you mean? Half the trans people in this community were themselves transphobic before they recognized that they themselves were trans. Why do you think that is the case? Because they are a product of their social conditioning, just like you are. Don't you own a $3 bajillion house, lol? I'm unfollowing. I do.
Good in like entertainment. It's cool. I don't know. I like it.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's what some people would call meditation.
Yeah.
When you're
Anyway, I think this was a good video overall. He addresses certain points of it. Maybe it's not enough for a lot of chatters, but ultimately, I don't think he believes the things that he used to espouse. Like, that's it. Very funny that IDubbbz's former fans are crying about him being a big meanie pants jerk face because he rightfully didn't want to be associated with weird, smelly, racist losers with no jobs and no lives anymore. Can't blame them when he built his entire career off of it, to be honest. See, like, you're literally saying the same thing that the fucking weird 4chan guys are saying, though, when you say that, right? You're like, well, you built your career with us, big stinky boys, so you should never change your perspective on us big stinky boys, actually. You should stay in the fucking stink with us big stinky meanie bobini boys. And it's like, what the fuck? What do you mean? What do you fucking mean? Like, why? Why would you do that? Okay, oh, here, by the way, there it is. We're finally here. We're finally here, okay? We're finally here, motherfuckers. California's 11th atmospheric river this winter causes more rain and flooding. It's news time, baby. And then we'll do the fucking Bill Burr's Monday morning podcast. It's news time, my lord. 4.5 hours in. I would have liked to hear him really explain why he was wrong rather than just saying he was, is even to help others. Yeah. Remember, not everyone is going to be like me and make it their fucking entire lives mission to try to actively convert people away from being fucking right-wing shitheads, okay? Sometimes the best you can expect out of people is just like not doing the dumb shit that they used to do. Feel me? And I think that Ian has definitely hit that not doing the dumb shit that he used to do line pretty hard. Hasanabi head edits for items, by the way, for the Creator Clash. Nice.